So in the first one, I try to lead you through it step by step. You could follow the same process for number 2, but I didn't write out the step-by-step stuff, but you should write it out. So I suppose I'm asking you, what's your f of x? What's your a? What's your b? You should use that to calculate your delta x. You should use that to calculate your xi star. And then at some point, you should calculate your f of xi star. And then once you have all of those pieces, you're going to formulate your Riemann sum first. So that's going to go from 1 to n, not 0 to n, f of xi star delta x. So I want to give you some time to get that all set up. So go for that. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to go over that part first. Keep working, but just in case people, I don't want you to get too far with a mistake. So this is an x squared. This should be a 0. This should be a 1. Delta x will be b minus a over n. That's 1 over n. My x star will be 0 plus I times delta x. And that's just going to be I over n. And that's going to make this I squared over n squared. So when we fill this out, we're going to get summation as I goes from 1 to n. We're going to get I squared over n squared times 1 over n. That's equal to the summation as I goes from 1 to n. I squared over n cubed, and you could really factor out the 1 over n cubed. So you end up like this. This should be example 1. This shouldn't be classwork 1. This shouldn't be classwork 2. This is way easier than the first one, right? Did we all finish this guy actually? So we end up with the limit as n goes to infinity, 1 over n cubed. Summation as I goes from 1 to n, I squared. So now we just use our summation formula, right? That's going to be the limit as n goes to infinity, 1 over n cubed. You got n times n plus 1 times 2n plus 1 all over 6. I kind of want to point out that the powers in the top, the total degree is n cubed. The total degree here is on the bottom is n cubed. So I know this is going to be a finite number. Okay. So we can simplify this. That becomes an n. This is an n squared. And then let's simplify this guy. So we got the limit as n goes to infinity. You're going to have a 1 over n squared, a 6n squared, I guess. And then you're going to have times 2n squared plus 3n plus 1. And then we could write this as the limit as n goes to infinity. We have a 2n squared over 6n squared plus 3n over 6n squared plus 1 over 6n squared. I can simplify this. This n squared cancel. You have an n left over. This n squared and this n squared cancel. So we end up with the limit as n goes to infinity, 1 over 3 plus 1 over 2n plus 1 over 6n squared. This guy goes to 0, this guy goes to 0. So you end up with 1/3 units squared. Does that make sense? Did anyone else get this number? Did I do it too soon? Anyone have any questions for me about this problem?